like this episode, please subscribe, share with others, rate and review so we can continue to bring you great programming.
This is The Thing About Cars, a podcast for car enthusiasts and the people who love them.
Hello and welcome. This is The Thing About Cars. I am, of course, Mickey Desai. Around the table, we've got Dave. Paulie, how are you, sir?
I am busy not being Mickey Desai.
This should be a very rewarding experience for you. Misty, all the way across the pond. How are you, Misty?
I'm knitting an exceedingly gay blanket.
Exceedingly gay.
I mean, it's it's a pity our viewers can only have audio because this is amazingly rainbow.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think I'm in love with it.
I like it too.
No, you can't have it.
Ah.
I don't like it that much.
That's what makes it exceedingly gay. The possible, to actually make you fall in love with the textile.
Yeah.
Tim, our trivia czar, is here with us. How are you, Tim?
You're doing great, thanks. Morning,
Excellent.
everybody. Or afternoon. Yeah.
Afternoon. Is it afternoon? Yeah, I guess technically it is. And the one, the only, driving with his shades on because it's cool and it's dark and I don't even know what I'm saying. Ben, how are you, Ben?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Where are you off to, Ben?
I'm on the way to a band practice.
Okay. Yes, it should be good stuff. Returning to The Thing About Cars, our good friend Bob Hall. How are you, Bob?
I am no good English speak. Happy today. I am no longer infected. My hovercraft is full of eels. Hi, everybody. How are we all doing?
We're
How
great.
the hell do you think we're going to follow that, Bob?
Yeah, I know. That's what, I think the only follow-up
Remember,
I can
creativity. Creativity.
I think the only follow-up I can come up with that is much better for having you in our lives, Bob.
I think that's absolutely the truth. Absolutely the truth.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you making kindness me.
Let's quickly do our trivia question. Tim, you got something for us today?
Sure. Have we done one about the movie Christine yet?
We have not.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. So the classic question, which many people get wrong. What car starred as Christine in the film based on Stephen King's novel?
What?
There's a multiple choice, and then we ask the question up front, and then, of course, we give the answer at the end of the show. So, all right. A 1957 Chevy Bel Air with a souped-up engine. B, a 1958 Plymouth Fury emitting the pre-recorded roar of a 1970 Mustang 428 CID Super Cobra jet engine. C, a 1959 Buick LeSabre powered by a 396 CID engine pulled from a late 60s Chevrolet K10 Suburban. Or D, a 1960 Ford Thunderbird powered by its original 430 CID engine.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and for those of you who don't speak old SAE, CID means cubic inch displacement.
Yes.
I didn't have that many. I didn't have to have that many words and concepts in my thesis.
Gotcha.
Now, do we make a guess on this?
Well, we do at the end of the show. So we got the whole show for all of our listeners to cogitate on this and cheat on looking it up online. But yeah. So, but just let me get, since that was so long, let me just give you the condensed version: 57 Chevrolet Bel Air, a 58 Plymouth Fury, a 59 Buick LeSabre, or 1960 Ford Thunder.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Thank you, Tim. We'll answer that at the end of the show. Bob has sent us a couple of points that we could probably address with him today. And Bob, can I talk about the elephant in the room first? You were with Geely and now you're not. Is that something that's fair game for us?
Yeah, it's very fair game. Geely had some good ideas for the States, and they were initially planning on launching in 2020. It didn't happen for them. They're going to use the Link & Co. brand, which at that point in time didn't have an & Co. It was just Link. We had an interesting process set up for how they were going to do, for lack of a better term, model year and vehicle focus. But that got parked. Peter Horbury, head of Geely Design Everything, had set up the studio in California, which was basically to do ideas. It wasn't specifically for US concept stuff. Peter decided, I think in 2021, early 2022, he was going to retire. And he has had a huge career, and Chairman Lee wouldn't let him retire. So what they did was they kind of gave him Lotus as one of the people managing the company with Mr. Mr. Wong, I think was his name. Very nice guy, actually. But and they slowly moved his stuff. He backed out of stuff for Geely Design Global, and they hired a guy from Audi, Stefan Seeloff, to take over. And in the end, when Peter left, Geely Design International sort of disintegrated into a little fiefdom in China, which split from the global thing. So the global focus was Stefan Seeloff came in, and even though he was supposed to be Geely Design Global, he ended up being head of Zeekr Design. And Zeekr is now the brand they want to come into the States with, launching a autonomous taxi project with the Waymo guy. How they're going to get into passenger cars past that, but Stefan decided that the California needed, and the Barcelona studio we were shut down. Everybody managed to find a soft landing except me.
Oh.
I guess because my knowledge base is a little too arcane.
That doesn't seem right to me.
I won't argue the point, and I still have enormous admiration for Chairman Lee. A lot of the people at Geely, they got a lot of good people there. But when Peter left and this disintegration came, the China studio, which ran like a bloody Swiss watch, the guy running it, Guy Burgoyne, who's an Aussie, he had his mother-in-law take ill, and he had to go back to Australia for a while. So he also tendered his resignation, but Chairman Lee didn't accept it. But he ended up leaving, and they brought a new bloke in. And the new bloke came from GAC in China, and he was coming from design, and he was a designer. But in fact, he was actually one of the administrators of the design division. And the first thing they did is they got rid of English as the official language, and the foreign contractors, which were probably about maybe 20% of the staff, a little bit more, a little bit less. They left slowly, and they lost, I'm told, about 100 and some Chinese designers who liked working with foreigners. And so it went from being a very well-oiled machine that was doing tons of cars a year, very, very skillfully, into it's like the equivalent of an 11-month-long Bulgarian railway accident.
Okay.
I'm familiar with how Bulgaria works. My husband frequently travels there. They have an office in Sofia, so well aware of how that works.
One of my favorite movies has a Bulgarian character.
Oh,
What's that?
Think about it. I'll give you one hint. Bob Hope is in it, and so is Dorothy.
Road to Bali.
I'd remember A Road to Sophia.
yeah.
Hard to get lost on that one.
That's
Good point.
And I mean one.
Yeah.
Was it one of the road movies?
No, it wasn't. No.
Oh, then I have no idea.
Well, I'll give you the answer at the end of the show.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
So
dueling trivia questions.
Just for the record, Ben, I have muted you, Ben, just because we're picking up road noise. So if you need to speak, please unmute yourself. Otherwise, we're going to miss you, Ben. So one of the first things that Bob wanted to talk about, then we'll open the floor to everybody, is Bob wrote this bullet point that simply says fear of the unknown -EVs. And is the assumption then that people are afraid of EVs because they don't know much about them? That's my only question.
I think it's less that people are afraid than car companies. And I'll give you one of the classic examples of this and how it created issues. Toyota, which is the absolute greatest manufacturer of a product they do not understand. Toyota's product planning for decades have been done by the marketing division. And my own experience with marketing people doing product planning is that their idea of the future is the last 90-day sales figure. So if you think about this just for a minute, before the Prius, what new vehicle segments did Toyota create with new product? You hear the cricket?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only thing that came close to it was the Celica, the original Celica, which if you could argue was just a shrunken Mustang. They took the whole Mustang.
Right. Yeah.
And it had been long enough that they could hire it. And then the Prius came along, which was pushed entirely by engineering. And they found somebody who liked it, it got in, and it took off. Advanced engineering started working on hydrogen. And so Toyota had a fascinating situation. The Prius hybrid technology is the greatest in the world. We need nothing else. Hydrogen is the greatest technology. We need nothing else. And what we have are some engineers who have some experience getting a production car going that sells like hotcakes, and engineers who probably never get out of the laboratory. And on paper, hydrogen's great, but it's lacking one critical important aspect, and that's an infrastructure. Okay.
Yeah.
So this went on forever. And meanwhile, electric technology is slowly building up, dismissed by both groups. Now, do you remember the original Prius Prime, the plug-in hybrid they were forced to do by basically a combination of California and market direction? Prius Prime had EV only range of 12 miles. Okay, even a Fiat 500e could drive past that. Okay,
Yeah.
If there was a hill, downhill. I'm sorry, I like the 500, but Toyota just fell far behind, and the Chinese came and said, "You will do EVs if you're going to stay here." And suddenly they scrambled. Okay, so Toyota is an example of a company that maybe didn't have a fear of EVs, but they were convinced they didn't need them. And I am convinced you do need them. Now, are they a complete replacement for internal combustion vehicles? Absolutely not. They will probably displace a very large number in the same manner that Duryeas and early Oldsmobiles curved dash displaced that wonderful thing, the horse. Okay, I think it's pretty much inevitable. One of the advantages we see now with more people work is the battery technology is increasing. Almost infinitesimally high. Every month they go more. They're cheaper to make. They're more energy efficient. And in that context, a lot of the fear the customers have will go away. But you still have manufacturers who have fear of production facilities. Okay, dealers have a huge fear, and it's called after-sales service, because EVs, need 10 cents on the dollar, if that. What's going to break on your EV? Well, you got to watch after brakes. You got to watch after the air conditioning. You got to watch after the power window motors. You got to watch after the brakes. You got to watch after the air conditioning. Okay. Yeah. And that's going to have an impact, and dealers are going to have to find a way to get around.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the biggest problems that in the world of getting things repaired is that we're getting farther away from people who know how to work on things. Stories of we'll go very high end with this. I heard from an online friend friend in parentheses or quotation marks, that his McLaren, he was having a hard time getting repairs finished on it because the dealership was down to one certified technician and therefore very backed up.
It must have sold a lot of McLarens.
Well, or a lot of warranty work, one of the other,
or they're having some quality problems.
Right.
Well, it is British. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Right.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, yeah.
How cruel I am.
Yes, but I know that the same problem goes through so many different industries. And your average car mechanic too is finding good quality people who can work on things that are broken down. We've pushed for so long that if you go to college so you can get a great job that pays a lot so you don't have to work with your hands anymore. But
I think I think the auto mechanic has we've kind of neglected to keep the sexy on the auto mechanic, because I just find it I find it very attractive to see a man with a wrench in his hand.
Hi there. Yeah.
Hi there. I mean, I think it's,
Ben has a smile on his face that says, "Yes, I am the sexiest man in the world."
And maybe it's because I grew up in a garage, but yeah, that's yep. And like I said, maybe it's because I grew up in a garage, but for me, that smell of, the oil and the transmission fluid and, and the coolant and all of that mixed together, that's just,
an aphrodisiac.
It is indeed. I was watching. I don't know if y'all have been able to catch some of this, but this weekend has been the Goodwood Festival of Speed. Oh my God, I can't believe I just said that online. Yeah. And they were actually today showing the new Lotus Electra, and it was pretty. It's the new Lotus SUV.
Oh yeah.
And
I haven't seen it in person yet, but it does look nice in pictures. Although I'm still wrapping my head around a Lotus that has any kind of shape like that.
I'm having a hard time saying Lotus and SUV in the same sentence.
People said the same thing about Porsche and SUV.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, I know. It's a
still
cash
say
cow.
that.
Yeah.
I still say that about Porsche and SUV. But the guy that was driving it was saying that it is so high quality inside. It doesn't when you're sitting inside it, he said it doesn't feel as big as it actually is.
That's the sign in my mind of an excellent car, personally. Because I like them. I like smaller cars. I don't like big, my dad, for the longest time, one of his rules on getting a car is, okay, and I have to qualify this after I say it, he would not own anything that was so wide that while wearing his seatbelt, he couldn't lean over and wind up the window. Now, I have to point out, my dad put seatbelts in the first car he got when he came back from England, and that was a 1950 Morris Minor, because he was a pilot. So we had seatbelts in his TD, we had seatbelts in his 100S, we had seatbelts in his 106, including in the rear seat for my brother and I, one for both of us. Okay, but I've just got raised in that environment, and I look at one of the things I just can't understand about Americans is driving pickup trucks. Things that basically in other countries would need their own postcode. Okay, as the day-to-day driver, and for what? Do they throw anything in the back?
No.
And then
Exactly.
what do? They complain about the price of fuel.
Right.
Fine.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. There's some guy in my neighborhood that has a big Dodge, and I mean, it takes up a parking space and a half, and I'm like, excuse me, you need to get out of the way for Claudette, because first of all, it's an MX-5 and it's the most gorgeous car that was ever built. Second of all, it's my car. And third of all, it's Claudette. Come on. I love my baby. She's
All right.
still, sorry, I was having a moment.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's fine. We yes.
The nice thing is, if the truck had a lift kit, you can drive under it.
See, good point.
Yes.
Good point.
There you
Yeah, very good point. Because I was talking with someone back in the U.S. and they were saying, "Oh my God, it's a sports car. How much do you pay a year for your tax?" And I was like, "For my road tax, I was like, I pay like 28 euros a month because it doesn't even weigh 1,000 kilograms. I mean, literally, if it had straps."
Neither do I.
Oh, me either. Hopefully, knock on wood. I mean, if it had straps, my husband could use it as a backpack. He's 6'9".
Nice.
All right. Then let's look at Bob's next question here. It's not really a question. Well, it's kind of a question. Where's the borderline between autonomous driving and AI? And why will the U.S. be the last developed nation to allow fully autonomous vehicles?
Because we're always last on technology.
My freedoms.
No.
This time it has nothing to do with the technology. Nothing at
concur.
all. Zero.
Right.
Not a point.
My guess
I
would
know
be,
what the answer is. It's because of our legal system.
Yeah, Johnson & Johnson.
Oh.
Those are lawyers we have TV commercials for here. And
Right. Yes.
somebody's going to be driving in a car and they're going to bump into a autonomous vehicle. The autonomous vehicle cameras and sensors won't be working on that side. And they're going to say, "It ran into me. Oh, my back. And the lawyers will ensure that they'll be tied up for years. Even though we might have great technology for it, okay? And we might have a need.
This is an interesting one. We've talked about this before. There was an article last year about one of the problems with programming AI to drive in the United States is it is not sufficiently aggressive enough. And one of the challenges of AI is programming asshole behavior.
Well, maybe we should leave that to the Italians.
Yeah.
So.
First rule of Italian driving: what is behind me is not important.
I think you could throw the French in there too, because
Right.
like I've said very frequently, there are two places I will never drive, and that is Paris and India.
That's right. There you go.
I'll add in Boston.
Right.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Are we're this come down to brass tacks here? We're saying that the reason why the U.S. will be the last to adopt fully autonomous vehicles is because we are too litigious and we have the wrong driving culture. Two reasons.
No, the fact of Americans loving litigation is number one by far and away. Everything else kind of falls by. It wouldn't matter if it could be somebody comes up with a neon light around the window frames. Same thing. Doesn't matter what it is. I can sue them. My dad taught me. He said, "Those who can do, and those who can't sue." And in my own experience, it sure seems to have gone that way. Now, there are plenty of good reasons to sue people for some sort of screw up. I accept that. But
Well, I think
when you have more commercials in the States, here in Southern California at least, for lawyers, particularly in the context of vehicle and other accidents, than you do for peanut butter, okay, something's really, really wrong.
I ran a law firm once upon a time for a hot minute, and I discovered that lawyers are an amazingly imaginative people. So if I were to hold up a match in front of the lawyers on my staff, they could look at that match and they could imagine a conflagration. Because they could imagine a conflagration is imminent, and we must drop everything to prevent it.
Yeah.
I'm
Where are my
sitting here.
matches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire starter.
I'm just
Twisted
saying,
fire starter.
Yeah.
It honestly just dawned on me. I don't see those commercials here. I don't see commercials for lawyers and for medication and
You haven't seen a Camp Lejeune lawsuit ad or what is that? Oh God,
Or just for
mesothelioma.
You chewed
drugs
on
in
lead
general.
pipes when you were a child.
Right. If you ate a
Yeah.
lead pipe when you were a kid, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
get-
although maybe I do have something to sue for because my mama let me drink out of a garden hose. That might
Ooh,
explain
see,
something.
that's it. That explains everything.
Right. That's
I'm not sure what that means, but
Yeah. Yes, Tilly, are you joining us?
I mean,
Tilly's joining us.
the other factor is that when this AI thing crosses into it, okay, boy, the options. The AI is learning how to take my car over from the whole thing. The whole thing to me is it's just a bit nutso, okay. And AI will be as good or as bad as we allow it to be.
Sure.
I am waiting for the anti-woke backlash because my car did not cut off that school bus. My car is damn woke.
Yeah.
Must be.
Well,
You know.
I know this is kind of negative thing, but this is something that I think, I suspect China will be the first of the big countries that really gets it going, because they can easily say, sorry, autonomous vehicles only in this section of Shanghai. Oh, that's it. It's done. No question.
Yeah.
And they'll have problems, to be sure, but the problems will allow them, I mean, they're not too bad, to work issues out. And I think autonomous vehicles on dedicated guideways are not a bad idea, because that technology, we know it works, but people move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's an oversimplification, but there are places where autonomous vehicles make a ton of sense.
So you're saying just turn the public transportation system into It's a Small World?
Yes. Yeah.
If that gets stuck in my head.
Basically on highways where
You're welcome.
You're better served by having a bunch of vehicles that are electronically mind linked to each other, and that you have your destination programmed in, and that you can have a drafting chain looking comparative to a NASCAR race of 100 cars long, all going to the same place at the same speed with the same following distance and saving fuel at the same time because they're drafting off of each other. And
in that context, I think one of the places it makes sense to perhaps focus research on autonomous, and I think it's already started to some degree, heavy duty trucks with a guy on board. Okay.
Right.
Then let's say the heavy duty truck. Let's use an example. The Port of Los Angeles. Okay. The heavy duty truck comes to a point that's on the periphery of the port, and Port of Los Angeles is a thing called Terminal Island, which is indeed an island. It could be vehicles on Terminal Island are all autonomous. The driver gets out, it goes and does what it wants. Okay. When it's done being unloaded, it drives itself to a holding yard where the driver gets in, the truck's all loaded and he goes. Stuff like that to me makes an enormous amount of sense. And I think you could argue that because of the tendency, particularly on long haul trucks, to get on a freeway, drive on a freeway, there will be fewer potential issues with the autonomous driving system than if you're cruising around in San Francisco.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we are still talking about cultural changes. I agree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. But I think the other question regarding AI that humanity has yet to answer is it wise to build another Frankenstein? You just because you can doesn't mean you should. And what are the consequences of building it? If you strip away, would doing such a thing be stripping away part of humanity?
It could be putting away, ignoring or canceling another Salk vaccine for polio, or your choice of pocket nuclear weapons.
Wow. Can I get one of those?
No.
Oh.
You may not have one.
Oh.
Well, give one to Tim, but I'm sorry, Mickey, you don't get one.
Tim can have one. I trust him.
Thank you.
Tim lives in a state where they're legal.
I do not live in a kernwapenfree cabal. Yeah.
Right.
Ja, helaas bin de gas.
So
Problem knows.
we have one more item here, and I know we're quickly running out of time. So can we do this, Bob, or should we save this one for another episode?
If you want to do another episode, that suits me fine.
Let's do that.
Yes.
Let's come back to this in another episode, maybe in a few weeks.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I have nowhere to go and all day to get there.
I love it. And just for the record, are you still in the job market? Are you retired now?
I sure as heck am.
Okay.
I sure as heck am. If someone needs a slightly wacko product concept guy who understands that design is the most important aspect of grabbing the customer, along with a vehicle that he looks at and goes, huh? Yeah, I'm available.
All right, cool. So the next time we get together with Bob, we will talk about supercars, hypercars. How do you pronounce this? Gigacars?
Well, I mean, it's the next logical step, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sure. Because Google has already been taken. Yes.
Right. Google cars, right. But Bob says he doesn't want to do one himself. And so we will hold that thought until we get together again to talk more with Bob Hall. Ben, are you at your destination yet?
Not yet.
Are you being careful on the road and not talking while you're driving?
Well, yeah, I'm in kind of a really slow traffic situation right now.
In other words, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm on 285.
I've been watching Ben drive. A jogger passed him a few minutes ago.
That's cool. Ben has got a new cool band. What's the name? Does the band have a name, Ben?
Yes, it's called Sour Circuit.
Sour Circuit. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I can't wait to hear the results of your rehearsal efforts. Let's wrap this episode up now with the answer to 2 trivia questions. Let's start with Bob's trivia question. The question, if I remember correctly, Bob, what was the trivia question? Because I can't remember correctly.
I can't remember it either.
Bob's favorite movie.
Bob's favorite movie with Bob Hope in it.
And Dorothy Lamour.
Which I have to look up now. No, I just like it's got this actor, I can't remember his name, who played in a million films playing this guy named Vanescu, who's a yeah. And he gets shot. It's got a great cast. He has Otto Preminger, okay, playing a Nazi spy who runs a beauty salon. Okay.
As you do.
I kind of feel like you've been watching comics with my son, because he's like, oh yeah, it was like Nazi werewolves in the attic, and I was like, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, I've seen that one. That's a great one.
Okay.
Oh my god.
I think
Is this movie would be the famous "They Got Me Covered"? Also known
That's
as
it.
the Washington
That's it.
story?
They got me covered. Exactly. And it's quite enjoyable. I mean, another thing that's weird is Hope and Lamour were contracted at Paramount at the time, and it was done by United Artists. They farmed them out. Good movie.
Nice.
Strongly recommended if you can sit through a black and white movie.
They got
I can
me
almost
covered.
sit through color ones.
Present.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to check this out. They got me covered.
Yeah.
Let me see where I can find it, if I can get it online somewhere.
Wowsy. There's a song in it too.
Of course there is.
Gloria, the Glow Girl sings it, then she gets knifed.
Okay, definitely got it. All right, so
I
Tim,
don't give anything away.
No. Tim, take us back to Christine.
Okay, all right. So back to the what car starred as Christine in the film based on Stephen King's novel, and we'll go over our potential answers again. A 1957 Chevy Bel Air with a souped-up engine. B, a 1958 Plymouth Fury emitting the pre-recorded roar of a 1970 Mustang 428 cubic inch displacement Super Cobra jet engine. C, a 1959 Buick LeSabre powered by a 396 engine pulled from a late 60s Chevrolet K10 Suburban. Or D, a 1960 Ford Thunderbird powered by its original 430 CID engine. And Dave, what's your best guess?
So this is interesting. Yeah, so I'm almost certain in the book, or I remember when I was a kid, the car was supposed to be a 58 Plymouth Fury. But I remember also that other Plymouth models were used. Like maybe there was a shot of a Belvedere or a Savoy, something like that. So I'm going to go with the Fury because I think that's what I remember being advertised. But I also remember reading someplace that it was not absolutely accurate and they had other cars.
Okay. Misty?
I'm going to have to go with this Chevy because I have absolutely no idea. I'm kind of actually ashamed to admit that I've never seen Christine.
Oh, okay. All right. No worries there. Mickey, how about you?
I'm also in the same boat as Misty. I have never actually seen the movie, but what was choice D, Tim?
The 1964 Thunderbird powered by its original 430 CID engine.
So I'm pretty sure it wasn't a Thunderbird. I'm going to go with the Buick LeSabre.
Okay. And Ben?
Well, I haven't seen the movie either, but I happen to know that it was not actually just a Fury, but a 58 Sport Fury.
Okay. Excellent.
Bob
And
Bob seems to know yeah.
My answer is E.
All the above? No.
No. E
None
was a
of the-
1958 Belvedere. It wasn't a Fury. The dead giveaway is it had the silver panel on the side. It was red. Furies only came in, I think, cream, white, and black. And they had a gold insert on the side. Also, if they used a Fury and painted like a Belvedere, that would be really stupid. It would be like cutting up the Hope Diamond for little tiny diamonds, because there are very few Furies left. There weren't many to begin with. The other Plymouths, as I recall, there was a sequence with the cars on assembly line in 1958 in the movie, and that's where there were tons of Plymouths around. But it being the fact that it was red with a white top with silver on the side tells you that if it started as a Fury and they made it into a Belvedere, somebody in the company was insane from financial standpoint. But it was in fact on camera. It was a Belvedere. Now it may indeed have had the 428 dubbed in. That could well have been. But Christine being red meant I ain't no Fury.
Okay. All right. According to my source, the answer is supposed to be the 58 Plymouth Fury. We'll have to defer to Bob and his more extensive knowledge. But yes, the soundtrack was from a 1970 Mustang Cobra Jet engine that I guess was dubbed in later by the fine folks working as the Foley artists.
Well, it's just disappointing.
Sorry.
So Christine came out the summer after my senior year in high school, and one of my best friends drove a AMC Rambler, and we tried, car with no safety belts, no safety whatever,
Including brakes.
Including brakes. Yeah,
They were the size of a dime and would stop on $1.
Yeah, and so we used to describe that car as Christine's evil half sister Noreen.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
like
funny.
my wife's growing up. Her family's Ford station wagon, where she and her husband, my wife's parents, had cut out the seat belts in the rear of the vehicle because the kids would just swing from them like Tarzan as they drove down the highway. So,
Okay, yeah, sure.
yeah, this is before mandated seatbelt wearing laws.
I'm honestly surprised that people of our generation survived, because I remember many a time, just riding in the back of the pickup truck.
Yeah.
I've done that on the interstate with a band full of other guys, and it was interesting.
You did that now, you get pulled over by DFACs.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Tim. Thank you, Bob. Excellent stuff. We will be in contact to schedule the next episode where we'll talk about supercars and other things. And Ben, be careful getting to where you're going, and rock on.
And have fun, dude.
Yep. And to the rest of our folks who are listening, thank you for joining us for another episode. We'll see you with a fresh episode next week. Please send us your comments and suggestions for stuff, and I hope you're all being safe out there. Take care, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.